Hi everyone, Chris from Stone Age Gamer here, and this is an Atari Jaguar cartridge. Now, like a lot of cartridges, they look pretty decent when you stack them up like this, but wouldn't it be great if you could line them up on your shelves looking like this? Well, thanks to the fine people at Trogg Tech, we have these. This is a series of stands that comes for all manner of platforms like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and yes, even Atari Jaguar. Let's take a look. Alright, the first stand we're going to look at is this. This is the NES stand. Now, these things really don't look like much on their own, but that's kind of the point. They're meant to draw attention to the cartridges themselves. So here is a standard NES cart, and this just clips right into the bottom there. It is properly sized to make that action happen, and voila! There's your cart standing as is. Isn't that lovely? Now, what about other kinds of NES carts? Well, this is where things get a little bit tricky. So we'll take this one out, and we have this Tengen cart right here. The problem with Tengen carts is they fit, but they're upside down. So, I don't know, if you really want to display your Tengen carts upside down, you have that ability, but as of right now, these carts do not really do the trick through the stand normally. Unfortunately, then you have stuff like your Color Dreams and your Wisdom Tree games. These, unfortunately, do not fit with these stands. Don't try to force them, you'll mess up your cartridges. See the slots down here are just slightly different shaped. This board is closer to the back here, so if you wanted to display it backwards, if you want to specifically display your Wisdom Tree games so that people can't see them, you have that option, but that's entirely up to you. Next up we have this little guy, and this is designed for Nintendo DS games. So here's my copy of Rhythm Heaven right here, and it just slides right in here, and ta-da! You've got a cute little stand for your DS games. You could line up a whole bunch of them. Or, if you're feeling real fancy, I discovered that these stands also work really well for these. This is a Tiger Gamecom game, and while it doesn't fit quite as snugly, it goes over this back piece here. Lovely, and there you go. You can have a stand for all of your Tiger Gamecom games, which I'm sure you have plenty of. Okay, next let's talk a little bit about Super Nintendo, and you can see it has SNES written on the bottom there. Isn't that lovely? So this is exactly what you would think it is. Let's take my copy of Doom here, because why wouldn't you want to display this amazing looking cart? And there you go. Boom. There's Doom sitting on display. Now this also works perfectly for Super Famicom games. Here's a Street Fighter 2, slips right in the same exact way, holds onto it nice and tight, and there you go. This also does not work for Wisdom Tree. There was one Wisdom Tree game on Super Nintendo. Oh wait, I'm crazy, it does work. I was backwards. Oh no, it doesn't work. Look at that. See, it tilts forward. So unfortunately, once again, no Wisdom Tree. You can kind of balance it though. It doesn't really snap on like it should, but you can just kind of balance it right on top, and that's actually pretty sturdy. That's not bad at all. So there you go. You could totally do your Super 3D Noah's Ark if you happen to have it. And yes, it does also fit the Super Game Boy. It's sturdy enough to keep that sucker standing straight up. Isn't that a lovely looking thing? Next, let's talk about ColecoVision. So, here is a standard ColecoVision game, and it just kind of slides right on there, and it looks pretty nice. I said it slides right on there. Listen to me, darn it. There you go. And there's my copy of Time Pilot sitting there. Lines up nice and neat. Unfortunately, the standard ColecoVision ones work, but Atari Soft ColecoVision stuff does not quite fit. Atari Soft ones had this kind of like a different inside there. You can see if you compare them top right there. These are just straight in. These kind of have a bit of a curve. So sadly, those don't work. Same thing goes for Montezuma's Revenge, Return with the Game Boy game. It fits, but like the Tengen NES games, it's upside down. So I don't know. That's up to you. And a fun little bonus is these guys, the ColecoVision ones, fit Famicom games. Pretty nicely, I might add. There you go. Ta-da! Famicom games. Next up, we have Game Gear. This little guy right here will hold your Game Boy games. Here's my Game Gear Mega Man, and it just kind of slips right in there. Ta-da! And it looks super nice. So finally, a good way to display your Game Gear games. Dog hair on my table. Finally, a good way to display your Game Gear games. And also, as an added bonus, because I know you've got them, Watara Supervision games. They're not the most perfect fit in the world, but they sit rather nicely in the Game Gear stand. So if you happen to have a nice collection of Watara Supervision games, you can display your crystal ball loud and proud. Okay, next up we have Virtual Boy. Look at that guy. Sits right up like that. You have to take the the black cover off of it to make it work in these guys. So this basically replaces your cartridge cover. Also have Neo Geo Pocket ones. These ones were a little tricky, right? Because you'd think, oh, I should be able to fit all kinds of things on here, but they got this cutout because Neo Geo Pocket games had that little slot in the middle there. So there's Neo Geo Pocket. This here is for the Atari Jaguar. So Atari Jaguar games are notorious for not having end labels, but if you want to figure out a way to display them like that, ta-da! There's Atari Jaguar games, delightfully on display. Same thing goes for the Atari Lynx. Obviously, this will work on both the ones with the curves on the top and the flat top because it all goes into the bottom. Just kind of slides right in there, and you can display your Atari Lynx games. Next, we have Nintendo 64, the other one with the notorious missing end labels, and these just kind of fit right onto there, and ta-da! They stand up nice and pretty. Isn't that glorious? Alright, so this one here is actually designed for TurboGrafx games, the HuCard games, or HuCard games, or I'm not sure you're supposed to say that, but here's my copy of R-Type, and ta-da, there it is. Stand right up, looking all pretty like, and then, of course, if it works on that, it works on Master System card games. My hero. Look at that. Now, while we're over here in the portable department, here is the Game Boy one. Ta-da! Little Game Boy stand. Yes, this works on Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance because they're all about the same size. But there you go. That one sits right up like that. Balloon Kid. Fantastic game. But in addition to working with Game Boy, this also works with Evercade cartridges. If you happen to have loose Evercade cartridges, they actually do work in the Game Boy one. Instead of slotting it onto this front part, you actually slot it into the back, and it just kind of sits like that, which is a pretty nice display. If you don't want to put your boxes up, or if somehow you wind up with loose Evercade cartridges, boom, there you go. You have the option. All right, next up we have a couple of Waterfall style stands. These hold, they're designed for your Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and they hold 4 cartridges in a nice handy dandy Waterfall style. And they've got a couple of neat options here. So this is my Final Fantasy display. It looks pretty nice. Let's try the Game Boy ones over here. I'll take these off. And since you've got like an extra tall one like Pokemon Pinball, it's not going to really fit down here without covering other things up. So I'm just going to throw that one. Actually, you know what the hey? Let's throw that one right here on the bottom. Nah, I'll throw it on the top. It's sturdy enough to hold it on the top. No problem like that. And then we'll throw Pokemon Gold and Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Red, and there. Cool. I got a nice little Pokemon display to show off. But this one was this was a fun little surprise I discovered. You can only fit 3 instead of 4, but this can hold Tiger R-Zone games pretty well. They don't like lock in place, but they do sit really nicely in here. So they're not going to fall off. See, they kind of, this little microchip part goes right into the bottom there, and there you go. This is an awesome way to display your Tiger R-Zone games. And I know you've got Tiger R-Zone games. Also, speaking of waterfalls, we have another one for DS stuff. The DS and 3DS games slide in like this, which is pretty cool. But what else you can do with this little waterfall is you can fit your Nintendo Switch games. If you got loose Switch games, ta-da, they fit right here. They don't lock in place like these ones do, but they are a nice little place to display them. Same goes for your vast collection of Nokia N-Gage titles. Ta-da! Boom. N-Gage. Hey, get back here! No, Ghost Recon, come back! If you're not clumsy like me, you can just place them right in there, and ta-da! You have a nice display for your vast collection of Nokia N-Gage games. Awesome. Now, it's not only about games. We have this stand here that actually works for a couple of neat things. This stand works great for a PSP of any flavor. Kind of sits real nice on there. This also works really well for a Game Boy Advance. Pretty much any horizontal type system. The Game Boy Advance is a little wobbly. It's not really wobbly. It just, you've got to be a little bit more careful with how you place it. But there's a Game Boy Advance. And really more specifically, this is designed to work for the Nintendo DS. There you go. Sits really well on the DS, and also sits really well with a DS Lite. And this will also cover really well for a 3DS or a 3DS XL or a 2DS even. Fits in here pretty decently. So that's what's really nice about this stand, but it's not just for consoles. Super Nintendo boxed Super Nintendo games fit in these extremely well, which is it's got the right angle so that they don't, like, see, that's not going anywhere. It just sits right up there perfectly, and they're not going anywhere. So if you want a nice way to display your Super NES card boxes, this should do the trick. Same thing goes for big box GameCube games. I found work really well on this specific stand. There's something about that angle that was set up just right. These sit really nicely on here, and I mean, come on, it's the box for Odama. It's gorgeous. Why wouldn't you want to put it on display? All right, next up we have this stand, and this one is designed to work with pretty much any DVD style case. Like here is a GameCube, DDR Mario mix, and so there you go. You got DVD stuff here, Xbox, PlayStation 2, etc., PS3. If you got anything DVD shaped, works in these just well, and that includes stuff like Sega card Master System boxes, like so, fits like a glove. This is also pretty good for holding your standard CD sized stuff. There you go, there's Toy Commander, looks real nice on there. Also works with, again, CD sized stuff in sleeves, like Link the Faces of Evil, which you can say what you want about this game, but it's got really cool looking box art. But even cooler that I found, this works really well with long box CDI games. So here's my copy of Tetris on CDI, and look at that. It just fits perfectly, makes a fantastic display for these things. And if you happen to be an R-Zone collector, if you have any sealed R-Zone stuff that came in these blister packs, these are perfect for displaying these, which is, I think, just fantastic. I know there's not a lot of R-Zone collectors, but if you have these things, these are a great display stand to put these in because they just sit perfectly on there. Last but not least, we have this little masterpiece. This is listed as the universal one, mostly for boxed games, right? So that's what it's designed for. It works perfectly with Stone Age gamers' bit boxes of all varieties. So here is, not all varieties, but most main varieties. Here's 32X Doom. Boom. Sits right in there. These are about the same size for NES, Genesis, etc. So these work great. But if you also happen to have the big box ones that are sideways, like N64, look at that. They work perfectly in these too. They hold them deliciously. Many other boxes work too. We'll just run down a list here. We've got Game Boy Color. Look at that. Obviously that works for Game Boy Advance, regular Game Boy, Virtual Boy, Famicom Disk System stuff. You got FDS stuff in boxes. They look great in here. We've got NES over here. Ta-da! Play a little Tecmo Bowl. Look at that. We've got Atari 2600, like so, because everybody loves Atari 2600 box art. It's gorgeous. We've got thick box PlayStation games. Look at that, the double ones. So these will look really nice next to the other ones, where you can hold the single disc ones. Long box PlayStation games also look great in here. There is a Brain Dead 13 starring Fritz Crackers. Look at that. And then here we go. Saturn and Sega CD also fit in these perfectly well. Look at that. It's tall enough so that you're not really in any danger of knocking them down. They fit nice and sturdy, which is great. And last but not least, where would we be without the ability to properly display our boxed copies of Rise of the Robots for 3DO? Look at that. It's too tall to even fit in the frame, but yes, it does work for 3DO boxed games. But that's not all. I have found that this is a, oh wait, I have more boxes. Look, Evercade. You got Evercade stuff? You want to lean them forward instead of showing off their spines? Boom, there you go. And also, obviously, Sega Genesis works like a charm. Bubsy too. Okay. Now, besides the box stuff, there's also a number of cartridges that work really well with this stand. The aforementioned Atari 2600 games. Now, they didn't work on the other one because they'd be upside down, but they look perfect in here. They're exactly the right size from left to right, the right width, and they work great. Obviously, dust can get in the top here. That's up to you how much you want to protect them. Vectrex games, same situation. They look really nice on here if you want to display your Vectrex games. There's a copy of Space Wars sitting there. Same thing goes for if you really want to display your Intellivision games. I don't know why you'd want to. There's no artwork on them, but there you go. There's a copy of Snafu sitting out, if that's the way you want to play it. And that does work for other Intellivision games, like here's an iMagic one, Nova Blast. Now this one has it upside down, similar to Atari stuff, but it looks pretty nice on there. Same goes for Coleco Intellivision games like Donkey Kong. Ta-da! Look at that. Let's see, we have Odyssey 2, fits this one nicely. Actually, really nicely, the Odyssey 2 games fit. And these make a really cool display all lined up, because Odyssey 2 art's really uniform, so that's kind of cool. Atari 5200, you've got a Parker Brothers release here. Popeye works just like so, fits like a glove, and the same thing goes for your standard Atari 5200 releases. They actually look even better than the Parker Brothers ones because, you know, they're not upside down, so you got the top of it all clear like that. This is another cool one. If you've got any of these Fairchild Channel F cartridges, first home cartridge-based system, there you go. They fit great in this universal stand, and probably my favorite one, because there's really no good way to display these unless you have the original boxes, Microvision. These things fit perfectly in these stands, absolutely perfectly. Look at that. Getting a whole lineup of the Microvision games set up on these stands is such an awesome presentation. I just love that these work out for this. They were not designed for it, but they may as well have been. These are an absolute perfect fit and a wonderful way of displaying Microvision games, which are totally cool. Display stands from Trogg Tech are available now at StoneAgeGamer.com, and they do a whole lot of different things. What I just showed off in the video was just the stuff that I figured out. Now, there are other stands that I didn't have on display, like there's one for Wii remotes. I mean, if you've got something you want to display, part of your video game collection, chances are Trogg Tech can figure out a way to get you to get it on display. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked what you saw here today, please follow, comment, like, and subscribe. Share it around, tell your friends, and let us know what cartridges do you want to display facing out instead of spined, because we love pictures of video game collections. Hit us up on the social medias and show us your awesome video game collections, especially if you're using the cool new Trogg Tech stands to make everything look wonderful. Thanks again, everybody. On behalf of all of us here at Stone Age Gamer, keep playing games.